Welcome to the Center Mid Philosopher. This episode is brought to you by Augustus Royale Fashion. Life's not black and white, it's gray, and gray is beautiful. Check out the brand below in the link. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week's episode of the Center Mid Philosopher, I've got a super awesome, cool guest, Victor Lytvinenko. Did I get that right, by the way?
Absolutely.
I nailed it. Yes, I've been rehearsing it for days now. So Victor and I have reconnected over the recent years. For the listeners and viewers that don't know who Victor is, he is the mastermind, the creative genius, visionary behind the unbelievably cool brand Raleigh Denim that has become a global fashion iconic brand. And I've reached out to him more than he wants me to, but for advice on circumnavigating the fashion world. And so he's been a tremendous asset to me there, and a real inspiration. And interestingly enough, too, I would just say, you were almost a bit of a motivation and for me, an inspiration for me doing this show, in that I remember telling my parents and my wife about some of our conversations, and I know I'm barely a blip on the radar on your background, but we played against each other for years and years, and you were memorable, and I remember saying about how you've kind of hacked your way into the fashion world. And my mom was like, well, that's exactly how you used to play soccer. And I thought that was such a cool thing, because you were fearless and you took chances, and you were a visionary, and you were capable of some really brilliant moments. And, so that it was kind of like, and if memory serves, you were sort of similar to me, a kind of a offensive center mid at times. Is that right?
Yep. Oh yeah. That was my spot. Yeah.
And so, again, for Victor, his playing style, as I joked, I've got the Stoichkov here in your honor, because I feel like you're a little bit of a little Stoichkov with a splash of Iggy Pop, maybe a little mercurial, but really talented, a leader on that team. And anyway, so Victor, it's a pleasure.
Wow. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's an honor to have you. And again, for the viewers and listeners, I mean, check out Raleigh Denim. It's unbelievably cool. The coolest jeans you'll ever have. He's been written in the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, every publication worldwide. He's, goes to Tokyo. He's in New York Fashion Week. Brad Pitt wears his jeans. He's playing basketball with Arcade Fire, and he's hobnobbing with the coolest hip hop stars in the world. And so it's just so cool to have you on, and I'm pumped to have traded dirt with you, and knew you back in the day when you were trying to stick it upper 90.
Yeah. Still am. I'm still trying.
Yeah.
I'm still playing.
Nice. Well, so water cooler talk, the Berhalter rehire.
Yeah.
I'm just asking everyone this just because I'm just curious. Like, how would you say you feel about that on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most excited you could possibly be about a U.S. men's soccer hire?
2.
And yeah, interesting. How so?
I was so excited about Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been the coolest thing, and would have been so much energy and so much fun. Mm-hmm. And I love the way he talks about the game. I love his connection. I mean, I really feel like it was time for some fresh ideas, some fresh energy. And I don't know. I don't want to say that it was the wrong thing to do, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm similar to you. He's a Carolina guy, and I was really a fan of it the first go round. Mm-hmm. But, I've been listening to tons of podcasts and reading about him, and because I'm trying to make sense of the fact, and I feel bad saying it, but I feel like I'm like a 5, mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, it's okay. But and it begets the question, and I'll ask you this too, what is your hopes and expectations for how we perform in the 2026 World Cup? What's the bar for you?
We are by land, and by economic status, like number one or close. I don't know. We're in the top five, in the top two, top three, five, whatever in the world. Like we should have a better team. We should be a top eight contender, in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not the number one sport in America, but I mean, you think about the number of people in America and the amount of money that goes into youth education, youth development, and it's like, I don't know. I think the performances have been so underwhelming, and we've come a long way since you and I were in in the last, whatever, 20, 25 years. Like the US is in a very different place right now in the world of soccer, and we have players, at the highest levels, offensive players, scoring players, not just a goalie or this or that. Like we should, I think we should be in a top 8 spot.
Yep.
We're nowhere near that. It's like,
Yeah. And again, it's exactly why I wanted to have you on, because that's exactly spoken like a true center mid, because I feel the same. I'm aggressive in it, and I'm that, like, we should be, the quarterfinals should be the bar. That's my bar now.
Yeah.
And especially for 2026 on our home soil, like that's got to be it. So that back to the Berhalter, is Berhalter the guy to get us to the final 8? Or was it like a Thierry Henry? Like, do you need to think a little bigger than just playing it safe?
and what is safe?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
safe is not getting there. Like, why are we going for it? Why are we taking?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So I'm with you there, and I mean, I hope it works out. But also too, I don't. Let's not waste too much time on the Reina. You know where I'm going with the Reina Berhalter thing, and we'll just leapfrog past that. However, I have been thinking a lot more about that. I don't have much of an axe to grind on that, but I will say, how much can you judge a coach but not by who they put on the field? I'm going back to, I think Reina should have played more. I'm more upset about, I don't care about the riffraff after. I think he should have started.
For sure.
So I'd ask you, where would you rank Reina on our team? Like, where would you put him? I'm just curious.
He should be starting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
He's fast. He's quick. He's got moves. He
Yeah.
creates. He's interesting. I don't know that he's like the guy I'm going to be best friends with, or the guy that's going to like be the best team player, but like he can make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're not. Why on like the biggest stage in the world are we not giving a guy that can make magic happen a chance to make magic happen? Like, because of some grudge over here or over there or this or that, and it's like, come on. There's always that. Like, there's always this peripheral, relationship things, and people that think that they're better or worse or should have more time or not, and it's like, this is part of the game. And when it comes down to it, the coach's job is to put the best players on the field.
Amen.
Period.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, I've been thinking a lot about it. Like, I would say Pulisic, not necessarily, Pulisic won, but, McKinney, Musa, Adams, but like, I'm putting Reina pretty right after that group.
Me too. No doubt.
So,
or higher. I mean, he's good. He's got some.
I feel like Berhalter put him at like 13, 14, and I'm like, no, he might be a top 5 player for us. And again, in terms of safe versus taking risks and making things happen, like, I think you needed him. We needed him. So that's the more egregious error in my part. And anyway, we don't have to go too deep into that, but I appreciate you sharing your insight on that, because you and I are aligned on that, and I hope it works out. But it's definitely, I think we need to think a little bit bigger and bolder, especially with the World Cup coming in 20. I mean, we have to, I almost, dare I say, expectation, I think we have to make the quarterfinals at a minimum. This is a major tipping point for soccer. It's either going to get there or it's not, and this is kind of it. And so I'll be interested to see if he's still there when we're doing it.
I think there's a chance there'll be a change before we get there.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So the other favorite one, and I know a favorite player of yours. How excited are you about Messi joining MLS? And does that get you to tune in, or you say, no, it doesn't do much for me?
It does everything. I think it's like the most important thing that's ever happened. And I don't say that in a overconfident or like a light way. I think soccer in America is going to turn into a major league sport in that, like, I think it will rival the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA. I think it will become like it's been, a sub major league sport in a way. I mean, my God, the visibility. I mean, it was like amazing when David Beckham got involved and this and that, and like, but those people did not have. I mean, no discredit to David Beckham,
Right.
but like, I mean, Messi is a arguably the best player ever
Of all time.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and David Beckham is not.
No.
Right? So like, let's just say it's a different conversation. I mean, this is Michael Jordan in the flesh on American soil, going to every town, opening the upper decks, the upper bowls of 70,000, capacity games. Like, this is doubling the value of the league.
I agree. I totally agree. That's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I'm curious too, how much soccer do you watch and what do you watch? Yeah.
I watch, I mean, it's hard because there's so much, right?
Right.
And then there's like, I have a small amount of time. And like, my honest answer is I watch the Premier League extended highlights every week. And so I'll watch almost every game. And, those are 10 or 15 minutes long. It's not the full games. I don't watch full games anymore. It's just doesn't happen very often.
Right.
Unless it's the big ones, and I'll make time for those. But I either get like totally lost in it and watch soccer all day, which puts a hurting on other parts of my life at this moment.
Right.
And I like to see. I think that I honestly am really so grateful for those edits, because it really does capture the feeling of the game, and it does allow me to stay connected to almost all the players in the league, even, in whatever, in 90 minutes or in an hour and a half, I can actually get a look at almost every player that's playing in the Premier League by watching those 10, 15-minute clips. So that's really where my soccer watching energy goes. I try and watch all the USA national team games, but I don't watch too much MLS. But I am going to the Charlotte FC game this Saturday, and then I keep up with some of the Italian league a little.
Nice. No, me too. Yeah, I try to watch as much as I can. I mean, I'm with you. Premier League's kind of one. I'll watch any Champions League I can get, but I do try to watch Serie A. I don't go super deep in La Liga, but I'll which and I can. I love to watch the Argentinian league if I ever can. And I feel like it's my responsibility to watch as much MLS as I can. I don't watch a ton of it, but it feels like, it feels like something I should support.
Of course.
I hope that the ML with Messi coming, that will just get more and more and more eyeballs on it, particularly Hispanic eyeballs. And they may start to go, I like this game. And it doesn't mean they're not going to still be Club America fans, but maybe they're Club America and Austin FC fans now too. Or, you know what I mean? And the younger generations start to, feel more like this is home and this is our league too, and it gets them to buy in. So I hope that's what happens from it. Well, that's great. So I want to just pass it back to you, and you have just such a cool story of soccer. I want to hear a little bit of, just give me the, from soup to nuts, as they say. Of course, you and I connect, played against each other. Those Raleigh Caps versus Greensboro games, and oh man, there were some great ones. And but where, and you have where was your dad from? I remember him well on the sidelines.
What do you remember?
Oh yeah, Lord, yeah.
What do you remember though? I'm intrigued. That's interesting.
He was loud and vocal and very emphatic. I mean, he was a presence, and Yeah, he was a character, and
Yeah.
so I'm curious to just know how you got into. Where's he from?
My family's from Ukraine.
Yeah, I thought
Uh,
so. How cool is
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Very cool.
It's not the best right now, but it is.
No,
Yeah, there's a lot of action over there, but
it's
it is
so
cool. My
yeah. So he was from Ukraine, and then were you born in the Ukraine?
No, 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 no. My grandparents came over. Both my mother's parents and my father's parents are from Ukraine,
Hmm.
and they came over after World War II. And both of my parents were born here,
Oh, cool.
but all my aunts, uncles, cousins are in Ukraine.
Very cool. And what kind of how did that influence your love of soccer? And I mean that's a very unique, incredibly cool style of play in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how it influenced me. Like my parents let me and kind of like gave me opportunities to do whatever I wanted. And I mean, I tried playing basketball. I was really into baseball.
Hmm.
Um, and and at some point in time, maybe even like sixth, seventh grade, eighth grade, somewhere around there, I was playing baseball at a very high level and soccer at a very high level. And they were like, you probably got to choose. And I chose soccer. So it wasn't, I don't feel like they influenced or encouraged me in any way. I think it was just like an innate feeling that this is like the thing I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's subliminal things that happen in there
Yeah.
that I
No,
don't
I
know.
yeah. Yeah, my son's playing travel baseball too, and we're trying to straddle it all. And my other son's playing for academy soccer, and it's bonkers. But so yeah, you played all the way through. Yeah, we were playing against each other in high school and all that.
Hmm.
And then tell us about where you went from there, because you played overseas for a little bit,
Hmm.
correct?
Hmm. Yeah, I had a kind of like stunted trajectory. Like I think I was doing really well in high school. I was playing on the Olympic development teams and I don't know, playing at pretty high level. We traveled, we played in France, we did a bunch of things, and then I don't know, I maybe I just didn't get the right visibility or what, but I didn't get a lot of action um, from college coaches. I ended up going to St. Peter's College, which everyone knows about now because of their basketball run last
Yeah.
year. Um, and I had a full ride there. I played there for 2 years, and then I came back to Raleigh. And I trained with the NC State team for a little while, but I never got to play in a real game.
Hmm.
Um, and at that time, I started playing in the like underground Hispanic leagues, and I love that. And
Hmm.
I think there's something here to dig into, like psychology
Yeah.
wise, like because those games, though they were war,
Hmm.
like they were not this university versus this university. They were like it was battle,
Hmm.
and I did really well. I was the leading scorer of the league. Um, a couple of years in a row. We won a couple in a row. They started sending me to the DC, Washington DC, and so for that league, and I would play in those games. I don't know if you know Godfrey Miller. He's from Liberia.
Oh wow, cool.
He and I would go up all the time every weekend, and it was for money, and it was like it was underground, and it was like they would pay us a certain amount of money, and then for every goal, it was another $50 or $100, and like I made a
Wow.
living doing that for a couple of years,
Wow.
and we won that league a couple times. The winners of that league got sent to El Salvador to play all the pro teams there, and so I did that 3 times.
Wow.
Um, and those games were insane. I mean, those were uh, it was like a cage match, kind of like around like 8 feet off the each line was a I guess 15 or 18 foot chain link fence with barbed wire at the top,
Wow.
and when we would score, like, or they would score, whatever, like all the fans would jump on the fence, and the fence would kind of weave back and forth 30 degrees, and I mean it was wild, it was
Wow.
insane. um, I met a guy who played Uche Best was his name. I think he was on the Nigerian national team, and he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go to Switzerland and try out for teams. You want to go?" And I was like, "Sure." And the day we were supposed to leave, like I showed up at the airport and he texted and he was like, "Oh, I'm not going." And I was like, "What?" And I just had this like little duffel bag with my shoes and a couple like a little I don't know some shorts and whatever. I was like, "I'm going," and I just went and I honestly went door to door to the second and third division teams in southern Switzerland around Lugano. And there was a third division team that picked me up, AC Malcantone, and I played there for a while, and I trained with the second division team, AC Lugano. And then after some time, it was hard. It was hard to make it. If I had made it one division up, it would have been real money. And life things happen, and I came back. But I'm still playing, and we played in the Region 3 tournament last weekend, we got second place, and we're going to the Nationals. And
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I didn't know that particular part of the story that you, and it parallels so well with the rise and success of Raleigh Denim, because again, for the listeners, I've sought advice from Victor on how to kind of grow my brand and that kind of thing. And, you know, um, Victor's just so punk rock, rip it on net, do it yourself, and it's very empowering. And it's very never say die, and it just reminded me of the way you used to play, but it's just such a center mid mentality. Like, the theme of this show is like, you can't just go through life and keep possession. You gotta impact the game yourself. Like, you have to put it on net. You have to put guys, set guys up for success. You've got to, and I just remember, you telling me the story about, I was like, how'd you get in the Wall Street Journal? And you were like, I just emailed the guy relentlessly over the course of a year or two and would say, I just need 6 minutes of your time. And you'd be like, do you have 6 minutes? I'm going to be in Manhattan. And you'd show up with some Raleigh denim and some pieces, and you just willed your way into it. And that to me is very center mid-esque, in that you just were like, no, I'm gonna win this game for us. Like, I'm gonna put the team on my shoulders in this last 10 minutes, and I'm gonna change the game myself. And I just think that's kind of, the bit I've interacted with you, that's kind of who you are. And I would just, super broad question, but how has your playing career influenced you in business, and particularly your fashion sense too? Like, how, and you can get weird with it if you want, but like, how did it influence you, and how does it continue to influence you?
I think the root of it is that, like, the energy is contagious, and like, the reason I was able to get conversations with a lot of people, whatever it is, be it the Wall Street Journal or New York Times or Tommy Hilfiger or whoever, it's like, if the ask is small and the energy's real, like, people want to be a part of it, or they're willing to, like, I don't know, that's a thing that has been like, a constant in my life. And I think a lot of the breakthroughs that I've made in business and in my personal life, and it kind of circles back to that. And that happens. I mean, we see that happen in the game all the time. I mean, it can be a lull and a lull and a lull, and then someone brings a little energy to the table, and it literally changes the game. And it takes a little grit and determination, and a little, I don't know, a little fun, and a little, like, surprise. And I think you like sprinkle that, like, mix into any part of your life, be it with, like, as a parent, or as a coach, or as a business leader, or as a brand direction. Like, that kind of mix of what it takes to succeed is kind of the same. Like, it's different mediums, right? So we work, like, okay, is it we're running down the field, or is it that we're sewing, or is it that we're selling, or is it that we're whatever, coaching or teaching, or I think that holds true. And then I think there's some level of, I mean, I was a captain of many of the teams I was on, and I think a lot of that is about encouragement, coaching, believing in people and letting them know that. I think that's a thing that just runs across every aspect of life. And I mean, conversations that we've had together, it's like, I mean, it's a very helpful thing. I mean, I lead a team of a lot of different kinds of people, and a lot of different things in business, but it's like, honestly, it's the same thing. It's like, it's the same principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's different medium, same principles, but like the actual words are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually found that like the mode of like the speed of thought in the game is 100x what
Yeah.
it actually needs to be in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've actually had to like very actively turn the volume down on the speed that I react and do things. And I had somebody like ask me the other day, like, how, like, where in your life does it make sense that you react so quickly? And I was like, in sports.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, where else? And I'm learning, you know, whatever, 25 some years later, that like almost every other part of life, it's better to turn that like speed reaction down a little.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to have the ability. It's like, okay, it's a Lamborghini. You can step on the gas and go 100 miles an hour in a second, but we don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of like in business and in coaching people, teaching uh, outside of actual sport, it's almost better to take a breath
Mm-hmm.
and think about it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're like incredibly closely related, but also I'm finding myself actively trying to separate it by a breath now,
Mm-hmm.
which we don't have in the game,
No.
but we do have in life.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's cool to like have a little bit of like wisdom and time to inject. I mean, when we watch games on TV all the time, and we're sitting here from the outside seeing the whole field. We're not in the moment. And we're like, oh, you should have done that because it's so easy to do that. And it's like we can do that in life now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
well, and this is it's so cool for you to share that. And I mean, yeah, again, you know, what I, you know, as it pertains to you, I'm editorializing a little bit, like, you know, this is lessons in perseverance and hustle and fearlessness and courage. And, you know, there's so many parables there. And, you know, you kind of have to have, I guess where I'm going with this too is like, I almost wanted, it's like almost makes me want to do like some sort of psychological study on center mids throughout the world, because it's an interesting bunch. And I mean, you know, I mean, look at Zidane and, you know, Maradona. And I mean, you've got some really, some geniuses, but they wear their hearts on their sleeve. You do that. I do that. You know, everyone has their own different style to it, but I'm been fairly fearless in my life too. I mean, I'm sitting here doing this, and I'm just I don't know any other way than to take chances, you know, albeit on a much smaller scale than you, but I just,
whatever. It's not the point. It's not, yeah.
it's just
the
about,
point is you're going for it.
it's
Yeah.
just about ripping, you know, put it on net, you know, like, you know, you can't just, it's not to minimize other positions or other personality types, but it is very interesting that I just feel like the way you know, approach business and the way you approach fashion is very center mid-esque. I hope you take that as a compliment. But it's just very, no, I'm going to impact this game now. But you know, soccer's also, it's a different kind of sport. I mean, it can be, like you mentioned, there can be periods of you know, tedium and it can be boring, but then all of a sudden, due to some perseverance and individual brilliance, ecstasy, you know. And that's kind of, you know, it's how many cracks will break the brick, and that's kind of you. And you've long ago broken the brick, of course, but still, you know, there's the story's ongoing, and I feel like you're still using it as a way to impact the world. And yeah, you told us, tell us about what you're doing with soccer to this very day. You had a couple cool stories about your playing, and then, you know, with some fashion in the professional game.
Yeah, there's this amazing guy. His name's Mike Jones. He's a younger guy who came into my shop not too long ago, and I really like to mentor creative spirits that like I don't know. I every now and then I'll meet somebody that's got the energy and they've got the heart and the grit and the desire and, you know, all these things, and I just kind of start inviting them in, and we became really good friends. And I think we're friends first, and there's some mentorship that happens there too. But he's, I don't know, he's maybe like 25, I'm guessing. But he was like, oh, I want to go up for this position at the Charlotte Hornets. And I'm like, if you don't try, you'll never know. Like, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And out of 300 people, he got picked. And he's the head of media at the Charlotte Hornets now.
Wow.
And then he called me a couple weeks later. He's like, oh my God, Charlotte FC asked me to design the Juneteenth commemorative jersey. Can you help me with that? And I was like, bro, come in tomorrow. Let's go. And
Yeah.
he came in and we, rolled out paper and started drawing and writing and dreaming. And I mean, he ran with it. I think I just kind of gave him a direction to go and encouraged him. But those jerseys are going to be on the field on Saturday night, and we're going to go down and hang out and support the team and celebrate awesome. Juneteenth. And it's very cool. I mean, I still am very as connected as I can be. I'm still playing a lot, at different age groups now, but
yeah.
we got second in the region. We're going to go to nationals, and that's fun. Never won a national tournament.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and it made me think too about. So I'll have to get one of those Juneteenth jerseys. I'll buy one and
They're
showcase
very
it.
cool. Yeah.
I'm sure. In terms of your inspiration for your fashion brand, again, listeners and viewers, go check out Raleigh Denim. It's coolest of the cool, and but like, where do you draw inspiration from? Again, another massively broad question. Mm-hmm. I could winnow it down with what's inspiring you now. And I know you and I've talked about the hip hop community as a massive source of inspiration for you. But like, and again, in my own little world, it believe it or not, it could be anything. Like I'm often very inspired by like trucks. Like 18-wheelers on the highway, I'll be like, oh, that's such a cool color scheme, and I love those shapes. And, it's for me, it's everywhere. It can be retro movies, it can be 80s surfer skate sort. But what's kind of your current flavor? Like, what's some of the stuff that you're drawing the most inspiration from now?
And it's hard to say, honestly. I mean, because it is everything. We recently moved out to a farm, and we live on a pretty big chunk of land, and I spend a lot of time walking around in the woods, and we grow a lot of plants. I make wine. I love seeing all of the frogs and the bees and the deer and the very inspired by the natural world, but I'm also very connected to, I don't know, like I've got a lot of friends in Europe and in France and here in America and in the music world, be it in hip hop or in classical music. I'm like, one of my better friends is a opera conductor, and I think it really just comes down to like purity and honesty. Like I like not being in New York all the time. I go to New York every couple of weeks, but like I like not living there anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it comes in waves for me over time, where I kind of been looking outward for inspiration, and then I look inward to just like let the things kind of digest and come out. And I think my mode of operation for inspiration now is really just like I go and I'll spend 6, 8, 10 hours in the shop by myself, and I'll either listen to music or be completely quiet. And my goal is to make something without the intention of it being right for our brand or good or complete or anything. But the idea is to just pull an idea out. Mm-hmm. Or to pull some ideas out and not worry about it today. I just make it, and the next day I'll look at it, or the day after I'll look at it and decide whether it's good or bad or right or wrong or what I like about it or what I don't. It's more about exploration and experimentation. And like I feel like I've had enough inputs in my life at this moment, and I want to like see how my lived experiences come out through the fabrics that I have, the broad connections that I have, older people, younger people, these cultures, whatever. Like, I think I'm more trying to pull it out of myself at this point than looking for inspiration in other places.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, and again, the the metaphor for soccer, and again, it is there for life. It's it's like playing a center mid. I mean, you can go in 360 different degrees. I mean, the scenarios, you know, if you if-then statement the scenarios in a soccer pitch, it's endless. And you can go in any different direction. But again, the center mid, you got to try things. And you got to try some crazy things. You got to try some moves that you maybe typically don't. Maybe, and it's back to your fast pace. You got to try it fast. And it's almost like could be, dare I suggest that almost as a way you design your fashion a little bit. It's
absolutely.
Like I'm just going into a room and the possibilities are limitless. There's infinite possibilities here, and I'm just gonna go. You know,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, and I am gonna it's just gonna come to me. There's no time to really think, and I think that's what's really cool, and that's a cool correlation between, you know, art and fashion with the beautiful game, and you know, that's
absolutely.
It's kind of how I am too, and you know, I want to go back to this beginning of Raleigh Denim a little bit, and you and I were talking about this because maybe you could retell this story. A very concrete example about how soccer, you know, influenced your life with the awesome brand of Raleigh Denim was, you know, you kind of fell into it when you were overseas, and then you kind of became really fascinated with making your own clothes because you wanted it to fit this certain way. I was just wondering if you could kind of retell that story for the viewers and listeners.
Sure. I mean, when I was playing in Switzerland, I bought this pair of pants at like basically what was like Target. Like it was a very inexpensive pair of pants, but it fit differently. It fit better. It was a little more fitted through the seat and the thigh, and the leg was a little bit more fitted. It wasn't a skinny jean by any means. It was just a more tailored thing. And when I got back to the US, I didn't have a lot of money, and like all the fits were a lot bigger. And I was like, I really want this thing. And I took the pants apart, and I bought 2 sewing machines on Craigslist for, I don't know, $200 or something. And I started making jeans in my apartment, and I was coaching at that time actually. So like during the daytime, I had time to myself. I was sewing, and then in the evenings I was coaching. We did win the state cup that year, just saying.
Right on.
Nice. I don't know. There was something about like, in my mind, I was just so conditioned for training, and I'm like, oh, every single thing I make is going to be training. I'm going to learn. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get stronger. And after a year, I probably made 300 pairs, and they were okay. They were pretty good, and people started buying them, and you know, one thing led to another.
The rest is history.
Yeah. Well, we got a meeting with Barney's New York, which was the best store in the world at that time. We'd never met with a brand or a store before. We'd never worked for another brand. We had no clue what we were doing, and we just went, and we showed them the 4 pairs that we had, and they bought them, and it continued to grow, continue to be a challenge, continue to be learning,
That's
been a
awesome.
wild ride.
That's awesome. And it's a long way to go still. There's no telling what's
Absolutely.
coming. We could talk forever and ever, but I want to be cognizant of your time. But let's jump to the rapid fire questions, if that's cool with you.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
The favorites. So, of course, the old inevitable Messi or Ronaldo.
Messi.
Yeah. Messi or Maradona.
Messi.
Yeah. See, I'm kind of a Maradona guy, but of course Messi. Just because he was just like, you know, again, like that's where I was like, this guy is just awesome, and like everything, you know. But Ronaldo or Ronaldo, so Cristiano or Il Fenomeno.
Il Fenomeno.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Donovan or Dempsey. Tough one.
No, yeah, I don't have a great answer there either.
Okay.
Both.
All right, got it. Tweener. Who's your favorite player of all time?
Oh, God, hard to say. I was thinking about that leading up to this. A player that I really inspired me was Eric Cantona.
Oh yeah. He's my favorite player of all time. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, he's the quintessential center mid. I mean, just total brilliant genius. But could go a little crazy, can't we all, but was just the coolest of cool, and
Yeah.
played with that style, and, you may have just answered it, but I actually have a different answer for this one. Favorite center mid of all time?
Man, so hard. Same, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, my favorite player is probably Cantona. Favorite center mid is Zidane, which is a bit of a cheat because it's sort of you're getting two in there somehow. But who is the best player you ever played with or against?
Oh God. Um, huh. I mean, when I was growing up, when I was like 15, 16, 17, I used to go to the NC State intramural fields. And I played with all these guys. They were refugees from West Africa, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, some from the Caribbean. I don't know. There's a guy that comes to mind from that group is Arande Ash. And he would be a cool dude to talk to too.
I'd love it.
But I learned a lot from I learned how to play from those guys. It was a special thing. Yeah.
That's a great answer. So yeah, now that my favorite, and again, we'll give a shout out to some of your boys, Sartario, Ed Finley, Brad Hearn. They're honorable mention, right? Richard Bodie. My dad was next door neighbors with Richard Bodie's dad all growing up. So
that's awesome.
And my mom went to Carolina with Ed Finley, and my dad grew up with Brad Hearn's dad. So because my dad went to Broughton, and so that probably intensified the rivalry that he wanted to make sure I showed up against you guys. Of course, I had to mark Richard Bodie every time, which was just nightmare. Him and Grant. I had Grant Porter on not long ago, and said Grant Porter's probably the best I ever played against. I would put Bodie right there too. He was like a German. I mean, he was just a machine. So shout out to all those guys. And I'm sure we're leaving out a bunch. But all right, who you got for your perfect 11?
Man, you sent me that. I don't have a perfect 11. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and the list is too long. It's just like, I love seeing creativity. I love seeing passion. I love seeing hustle and grit, and there's a lot there. It's hard. Like I can't. I know it's an awesome question and it's a fun question. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll leave the door open. You can always text it to me later if you want.
Okay. I might.
Yeah.
I'll keep working on it.
Yeah. This is a good one for you. What's your favorite jersey of all time?
Oh man, God. I mean, there was a U.S. jersey that looked like denim.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
That one is it's pretty hilarious, but I thought it was really fresh at the time. And it's a little too close to home right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's my favorite ever, but it's a memorable one.
Well, it's funny. That one was so badass at the time, and then it kind of was I don't know if that was that awesome.
Right.
But now it's kind of weaving back into the so bad it's good a little bit. Like the Arsenal bruised banana, or the England with the 3 giant lions. So, but now, or maybe it's just so awesome it's awesome. I don't know. It's it doesn't have to.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Victor, thank you so much for coming on. We've taken a bunch of your time.
Thank you.
This is exactly what I wanted it to be. And again, just want to conclude that, there's a lot of us out there, and a lot of, I think of, something like Craig Falta, genius in his own way to, we all ran pretty hard in a lot of different directions as center mids. And, it's a unique bunch, and I'm proud to call you one of them, of our tribe. And, super pumped for all the success that you've had and are continuing to have. For, again, listeners, viewers, go check out Raleigh Denim. Such a cool brand, right in our, right down the road in Raleigh for all of us North Carolinians. And I appreciate you telling me more about your playing career, which I didn't know all of that, and that's really cool. And just thank you, an honor. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This is really fun.
I promise
Congrats.
I'll leave you alone now, but
No,
I'll occasionally ping you. But maybe that was my center mid philosophy, is just belligerent persistence.
No, you weren't belligerent at all.
But hey, it takes a lot of different. You can do it a lot of different ways, I guess. But hey, man, thank you so much. Be well, and we're rooting for you.
Too. Congrats for the show. This
Thanks,
is great,
bud.
man. Thank you.
Thank you, bud.
All right.
Take
care.
Later.